All right, folks. Big day today. Holy cow, the 17th. Big drops from Donald Trump on his Truth Social, talking about HRC, talking about the auto pen. Laura Ingraham covering the auto pen now. It looks to me, Juan, like things are coming. It's starting to come. It's avalanching. And
La 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 la
I'm
la
telling you,
la.
hey, it's awesome, folks. But first, what happened to Chuck Norris? Well, have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? I recently saw a video he made, and I was shocked. He's in his 80s and still kicking butt and working out and staying active. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids, folks. He did this just by making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger. Her body looks leaner and she has energy all day long. I wonder what they use that for. Chuck made a special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Nino or by clicking on the link below this video. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Nino. Click on the link in the description box below to follow and watch the video now. You won't believe how simple it really is. And by the way, the legendary Chuck Norris is a whopping 84 years old and yet has more energy than me. He discovered he could create dramatic changes to his health simply focusing on these three things that sabotage our body as we age. Watch his method by clicking on the link below, folks. Get started, Chuck Defense. Man, I'm excited, Juan. I've been waiting for these drops to come. I'm going to go ahead and show the screen. I'm not going to read it because this is the fluff tube edition, but Trump put out a very cryptic video on HRC. That's the way I like to say it on Fluff Tube. Folks, this is on Nino's Corner.tv. We just did a good 40 minutes covering all of this, when we believe this will start, when they will take place. Obviously, 𝗀𝗃𝗶𝗹 has said, hey, prepare yourselves. High profile arrests are coming. Now, here's the I don't know if you can see this one either, but here's the
Oh
video.
yeah.
Here's the video he put out. Donald Trump. And May 17th, the 17th, the number, along with another post. So the auto pen is out, and we cover this video on my channel, folks. We play the video and we cover it. The auto pen is out, as well as this one. What do you have to say about this? I mean, it's coming.
Well, as I've said many times, those whom the gods would destroy, they must first villainize. And a lot of what has to happen, there's history that's been forgotten amongst many of the people out here. Some of us are longer in the tooth, remember it, going back even into the 90s. But you need to kind of have a refresher for everybody. And so that there isn't, people need to understand who these monsters really are and the things that they've done. I could go down a list of horrors that have happened to America, false flags, past and very current, and then people that have died under, mysterious circumstances. The ones that would be played that most people would hear, and then many that, I'm aware of, or folks that I knew that have been forgotten or weren't understood to be very close to these events in the intelligence world. And so there's the public has to understand a context of how we got here and why these people, they're not just being run through an Article 3 court, a Justice Department court. That won't be sufficient when matters of treason are considered, colluding with enemies. And remember, and I've said it clearly in other places, I'll be nice on YouTube, but many of these events related to 2020 were orchestrated, specifically, precisely managed by China. And that has to be put in context of everything. The alignments of the various players with China, and things that they did that benefited Um, when you understand the magnitude of the push, wasn't just in America, it was 72 countries total, 71 plus the United States. This was an attack on the world. And those players here that have had some part in working with our enemies, uh, they're going to have to pay the price. And a normal prosecution is not appropriate for crimes of treason.
The one, James Comey just put 8647. That's shining a huge light on him. I'm like, is he that big of do such a thing? And I guess he is. Are they just still full of such arrogance?
Well, hold on. Plausible deniability. First of all, he just found the rocks and seashells on the beach. Second of all, it's magically been 8,647 days since 9/11. Oh, okay. So plausible denial. Gosh, that's all it was. Comey had a 70-minute private interview with Secret Service yesterday. So
how long?
70 minutes. And explaining himself and everything that happened.
He's like, I like to collect seashells on the seashore. What's wrong with that?
Well, let me just tell you that since Trump's been back in, he hasn't been just wandering around aimlessly, nobody paying attention. He's getting, I can guarantee you right now, he's getting the type of physical surveillance that we would put on any type of a foreign spy.
Wow.
And
from here forward, or he has been?
No, he has been.
And then he still does something like that?
He wants to lie about what he was doing there on the beach or what was going on before or after. Remember they were passing notes back at the Bush funeral, like a bunch of school kids? Okay.
Yes.
They're still trying to communicate and literally with drop locations and stuff like that. They are only being lied by half. I'll bet you we know exactly who put those things right there. He has certain places he likes to go. What's he going to do with his life? He's living in a fishbowl and has been for a very long time.
No more long walks on the beach, huh?
Well, he can still do it, but he thinks he's going to pick something up or drop it off and not be seen. That's probably a pipe dream at this point in time.
Well, Juan, I want to give credit where credit's due. First off, to my Fluff Tube audience, and I know you and I have taken a lot of hits in the last few years, but no one has been more precise than you, and I have to give credit where credit is due. When you said Trump would be the first arrest, you hinted to that. You also said, hey, Biden is going to be the rotting corpse of the Democratic Party. We're making them hold on to him. Now, nobody could say that unless they knew what the hell was going on in the inside. And
the specific thing was besides the cross, the other form of punishment in Rome that was considered the most gruesome of all is if you were convicted, and they had their trials pretty quickly. It wasn't a month long, it was hours long. They would bind you hand and foot, waist to waist, neck to neck with your victim's corpse. So you couldn't get away face to face. The Democratic Party is bound to Biden. They can't get away.
But you said this before even the debate. You said all of this. You said they're gonna be bound to him, and you were right.
Can you imagine how gross all of we talk about parasites and all sorts of critters and everything and flies. And if you're a Democrat right now, you can be in denial, but the reality is you're having to now face to face the people that you've embraced in these crimes. And they've done murder. Look at the millions dead in the Ukraine and Africa and Yemen, wars that wouldn't have happened except that these people were in power. And others before that, Bosnia-Herzegovina, back in Clinton, and the horrors that occurred there because they destroyed a whole region of the world. for their globalist ambitions. And that's what we're having to try and unravel right now. But you have to own these things. You're going to be bound to them. And that is, it's a kind of nightmare. Can you imagine being bound to the rotting corpse of your victims?
And that's what they're dealing with now. The whole Democratic Party is bound to Biden, and they're still dealing with it. And now the auto pen thing comes out, and I'll read some of it here. It says, whoever had control of the auto pen is looking to be a bigger and bigger scandal by the moment. So it's like these things are starting to drop out. Laura Ingraham was.
Well, I mean, let's be clear on this. There's only a limited number of people that had physical access to the auto pen. Now, there was people that created the documents that were then put in place to the auto pen, who ferried them in to have them there, the pardons and like that. But the number of people who had physical access to the auto pen and could pull it off, extremely thin. And I think total speculation here. Yeah, I think it's because the White House was the son of a certain person. Yeah.
Right. And we discussed this on @Nino'sCorner.tv in detail. We discussed all of this on @Nino'sCorner.tv in detail. So did General McInerney. General McInerney disclosed the person behind the auto pen, and you agree with him for the most part, right, Juanito?
Well, I think the only disagreement I would have there is that the documents were made by the person and supervised in their creation by the person that McInerney identifies. But that person wasn't physically in the right locations to actually do the auto pen signing, I don't believe. And on multiple occasions, by the way. It's the one that I mentioned. And but, you know, I would certainly be open to being proven wrong on that. And McInerney may have other sources. He's a great guy. So.
Well, folks, go to @Nino'sCorner.tv because we talk about the first arrest and when we think it's going to happen. Kash Patel has said, prepare yourselves for high-profile arrests. You still believe it's going to happen in the fall, right, Juanito?
Well, it's a layered thing. See, there's some arrests that can happen right away, and I think have to happen here, dark to light, in June. There's other arrests of some of the key players that we need to let the diners assemble in this shark pit, because the American people with the early arrests will have a context, even though within, say, the conservative arena, people act as though they're ready for these high profile arrests, but it's still kind of 50-50. People still want to get along, go along. They want to put stuff to rest. It was a long time ago. These are old people, etc. And I might remind everyone that, interestingly, at Gitmo, they brought in all of the right stuff to take care of geriatric patients quite some time ago. The proper machinery and things, and even the personnel to care for geriatric patients. So we don't care that they're geriatrics. They're treasonous, traitorous monsters, really. And the Article 3 courts are not the appropriate place to try these people. It will be military tribunals.
So, Juan, you also agree that probably Russiagate's going to be the first to pop, right?
Well, for lots of technical reasons. They're the most advanced cases. They're the older cases where there's been lots of material generated, but then never acted on. And Kash, of course, he made his splash early on with his writings and investigation of the Russia
and also
stuff.
The movie Government Gangsters.
Yes,
and I went to his premiere in Vegas. I went to it.
Yeah. I think we were both there. So with that in mind, those are pretty well documented. They just weren't acted on during this last administration. will now be able to act on those, and then it paves the way for la 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 la.
All right, Juanito, let's get to Nino's Corner.tv. We finished. Man, it's good, folks. It's hot. Go into detail there. It's going to be epic. It's going to be biblical. What is going to be the next move? You'll find out on Nino's Corner.tv. Thank you, Juan. And go to 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗃.com, 𝗃𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.com, and get yourself some cool Juan gear. I do. Thanks, Juan.
All right, bro. Talk to you later.